your guide to the truth. TheNewAmericanMedia.com.
Broadcasting to you live from the Milky Way galaxy, the solar system, planet Earth, North America, the United States of America, California, Los Angeles to be specific. Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Agree to Disagree here on TheNewAmericanMedia.com. My name is Brian Engelman, joined today with Blake Walley. Blake the eccentric, fresh off of his RNC, DNC excursions, and we're going to be telling you about the projects that we've been putting together in just a second. But first off, I want to thank all of you who have connected with us. 1,000 on Facebook today. Pretty fun, since we've only recently started playing with that. Over 1,050,000 views over on YouTube. Thank you so much. I don't know, 17,000 on Twitter. So link up with us. Go to Instagram. Get with The New American Media. Go to TheNewAmericanMedia.com. That's where you can click play to listen to the show live. On the homepage, it'll have our Twitter feed. We're at American_media_. And on Facebook, you do a search for The New American Media. So, once again, thank all of you. It's been 5 years that we've been doing this, step by step, piece by piece, and we just seem to be gathering more fans and friends and confidants all across the globe by the day. So if you like what we're up to, tell your friends. And I guess we even have a Patreon page. I haven't really pushed all that much, but hey, you know, if you want to get more of this product, you gotta fund it. So it kind of comes down to the quality of content that you're going to be able to provide people. What are people interested in assisting with? You know, it's a totally brand new way of finance, and it's, you know, you can't help but think about Donald Trump talking about jobs and just realize that the world has changed. Taxi cabs don't exist. Uber and Lyft have taken over. Payment with credit cards and through chip and PIN and bill pay and PayPal and all of these things. Just the whole world from 30 years ago is so different. So, you know, you kind of think, oh, bring back the jobs. Well, are there going to be a lot of those jobs? And you just got to kind of think it through. Some of that may be true, some of it may not. But, you know, the world really is a different place. And you've been hearing about Hillary Clinton, that she's running a campaign from a few decades ago. And it's just not resonating with the younger voters. But really, let's face it, we got a 69-year-old and a 70-year-old, right? So debate number one was tonight. And we could go ahead and just toss it over to you, Blake. I mean, I've been waiting for this day like it's the Super Bowl. I mean, have you as well?
Yeah, I've been excited about this for a long time, and it finally came, and probably not anything that people were expecting. I'm very surprised by the result. I'm still trying to make sense of all of it and go through it all. Yeah, I mean, obviously it's going to be picked apart for, you know, a week until we get to the next debate between the VP candidates. So we'll have a lot of time to break it down. This is kind of the you know, first look, first take. And yeah, I was expecting Donald to basically run her over, and not the case exactly. I'm not really sure. I think it was. I don't know exactly if I can pick a definitive winner, but we, you know, make cases for each side, and I'm sure we'll get to go over some of the points, but not, as I said, not quite the result that we were thinking. You know, we wasn't even sure if Hillary would even, you know, make the debate, or was she having such serious health problems? Was she really gonna make it 90 minutes? And she definitely, you know, had a surprising performance. I mean, nothing that, you know, I think solidified her as a clear victor, but certainly helped herself. I think there was a lot of, I think the pro-Trump people obviously thought it was going to be a massacre, and I think even the pro-Hillary people were kind of privately panicking. Worried about that, and I think they definitely gained some confidence today. I think it's a little out of line to say that she won definitively, but, you know, no, I really don't think there is a clear-cut winner. But Brian, let me pass it over to you and get your take on it.
Well, let me just say this. Maybe in a similar way to what we saw in the Republican debates. I approached debate number one with a lot of curiosity, maybe anticipation, and when it came time for it, what happened was this. Both times, it's actually eerie how similar these were. Nothing that Donald Trump did tonight, nothing that he said tonight, nothing about the way that he conducted himself tonight disqualified him for me. Nothing he did made me come to the conclusion of I could never vote for that guy. Now, were there many times that I've noticed many things I would not like to see out of my candidate? Yeah, a lot of those. He didn't disqualify himself, but he did not win me over yet. I will never vote Hillary. So, what are my options here? You go with Trump, you go with Gary Johnson, you go with Jill Stein, or you don't vote. Or Mickey Mouse or Vermin Supreme. At this point, we're really running out of ideas to put down there. So, he didn't win me over. But, Blake, you're coming from a different perspective. You have already endorsed Donald Trump. Are you disappointed that he didn't come out swinging a little harder, didn't really land any clean cuts? Other than the one line that I did like, when, what was my favorite line? When he said that, hang on, I'm trying to look for the, trying to look for the line. Jeez, and here's the thing.
Yeah.
I had the weird disadvantage of having to drive, and I couldn't watch this, so I said, I'm going to have to rely on my ears. And man, did I hear a lot of sniffling. It was pretty distracting. I've got to say that. No, my favorite line was when Trump was talking about, against the advice of my lawyers, I will release my tax returns just as soon as you release those 33,000 deleted emails. He didn't hammer her on that. Maybe the time for him to do that is debate 2 or debate number 3. Maybe he's really going to lean in on her as it starts getting down to the wire. There's 3 of them. Maybe debate 1 wasn't the time for that. Maybe that was the time. Because, look, even if you don't like Donald Trump, you know that he can stand in your face, intimidate you, and probably get what he's trying to accomplish. He's that type of character. He's a bully in many regards, in many respects. I don't think this was Donald Trump's time to prove that. Tonight was the time for him to prove that he could be the part and he wouldn't get distracted, fly off hinge, and be a loose cannon that people would get nervous about having in the Oval Office. Would you agree with that, Blake, that this might have been the time to just be presidential versus going for the knockout punch?
Perhaps, and I guess to Hillary's credit, she hung in there, and she looked fairly composed. So, she didn't beat herself, and, he did take a couple shots. Yeah, the email thing was good. Kind of grilled her a bit on NAFTA. Yeah, but not just is tearing her apart, no. And, I think Lester Holt, probably wasn't quite fair in this debate either. Not entirely. I'm not totally throwing him under the bus, but he did seem to challenge him where he did not challenge Hillary.
Yeah, but you know what? I got to say the opposite. I got to say he kind of just let the two of them do their thing. He really didn't. And anytime he did try to redirect, he was so weak and ineffective. It was really pathetic. He kind of let them do their thing. He let it's like when you watch a football game and you say, just let them play. Don't call every holding call. Don't don't throw the flag on every damn play. Just let them play the game. And I think he kind of stayed out of the way.
Yeah, I would agree with that he definitely let Trump have a fair amount of time, and yes, did let it go, and I appreciate that. It's a good point, but I think where he would challenge or try to keep Donald Trump on point, like the birther issue, you keep bringing it back into there. Where I think that's where it might have been a point where Donald Trump was trying to score points on a different subject, and then Lester Holt had to redraw. Hey, let's get back to this birther controversy again. It's why are we talking about? There's more important issues going on, and
because they had to say racism. They had to say racist. They had to explicitly hit it. Racist. You got sued for racist tendencies in your housing facilities. Racist.
Yeah, it did seem like it was set up in that way. I'm not saying that was what the case was, but it played in Hillary's favor, and Lester never really went after Hillary on.
But okay, fine. But did it even seem effective? To me, it was just like, yeah, here we go, racist. Fine. It didn't seem effective. I think maybe we've been hearing about this stuff every other story, every other week. You turn something on, it's turned into a big race issue. Most of the people I know don't care what you look like. And I think for most people don't care if you're white, if you're black, if you're Latino. Are you a cool person? Are you all right? I think that's pretty much the extent of how most people that I know think about race. So
but even the point is, it's the main thing is with the birther thing. It's not racist. They're trying to. I don't know why they're trying to. You can go after him for the birther thing. I don't think it's obviously a key issue in the debates here. But if they, I guess if they can bring it up if they want to. But to automatically make it into a racial issue just because Obama happens to be black is not honest either.
All right. Well, I mean,
Donald could have, handled it better and put it to bed. And maybe he was off a little bit. Maybe he might have had a cold. I mean, like some of the liberal media that I was following on Twitter were saying, he's doing coke or something because he's constantly drinking water and sniffling. So I don't know if his mic was turned up or my opinion is maybe he had a cold. I don't know. Maybe that could have thrown him off a little bit. Who knows? Which would have been kind of odd because she was the one that was supposed to be sick and have the pneumonia. So, but who knows?
Well, he may have had the sniffles, but at least he wasn't a 400-pound hacker.
Yeah, that's a good one.
So what was that line? I mean, I get what he was going for. Some 400-pound person in their mom's basement. Putzing around on a laptop can do a lot of damage. I mean, it was a joke, but it kind of fell flat, right?
I mean, I would like to go and recheck it. It was a minor controversial thing. Like, it was kind of an odd thing to go for. I don't know. I honestly, with all the things going on, trying to, look at my computer screen and following it on Twitter, listening to it here, and trying to have too many things going on. I didn't, really focus in on that particular point, but maybe you did. So maybe you want to focus in a little bit more, and I'll see if I can pull it up here. On the
I got something. How about we go from the 400-pound hacker to the 400-pound hack? This is Michael Moore talking about Donald Trump to Bill Maher tonight after the debate.
But I think Trump is going to win. I'm sorry.
You know what? Boo if you want. I am glad you're saying that. Everybody should say that. No. The enemy is complacency.
Yeah.
Say it every day. Not only could he certainly could win.
He certainly could win.
That can't have been from. That's correct. It could not have been from tonight, could it? Isn't that from a few months ago?
Oh, hey, maybe it was. All right, I got to do some fact checking. But he's still a 400-pound hack.
That is, yes. Michael Moore is a 400-pound hack. That's a good one.
I don't know if this one is from a while ago. I did not see it before. Well, there goes my hurrah with the cool thing I found in 5 minutes of show prep.
Yeah, it's all right. No, but I have heard that before, and I remember that because because usually Bill Maher is such a slimy sycophant, and you wouldn't hear anything that would be pro-Trump on his show, and it was kind of shocking that Michael Moore would say that.
Well, what were some of the other moments from the debate that you took note of? I still have a few over on my side, but kind of curious to know the things that you felt were the ones that jumped out at you, the one-liners that are going to live on as the debate continues, and as you look back decades and centuries from now. What jumped out at you?
Well, I mean, the one-liner, as you mentioned, when about the tax returns was obviously one that's going to carry over. I'm sure there's going to be a few other ones. Right now, I'm looking at an article here out of Breitbart. That's someone we met in Cleveland, Joel Pollack, who writes that NBC about Lester Holt shilled for Hillary Clinton at first debate 5 times, in fact. And one of those was the tax returns. These are the 5 worst examples. It says Holt never asked Clinton about her email scandal, about Benghazi, or about the Clinton Foundation and its dubious dealings, but he did ask Trump about his tax returns, arguing, not asking, that there might be questionable information in them that the American public deserved to hear. So that's, of course, that one. We did talk about birther conspiracy theory. Oh, the stop and frisk thing that they spent a lot of time on. But
I'll tell you what, let's
Yeah.
pause on stop and frisk because I want to get to something before we move over to it. Talking about the Clinton Foundation, I think that was the biggest failure from Donald Trump tonight. I saw an opportunity a few years ago with Mitt Romney, and he had the opportunity to go ahead and deal a couple of knockout blows many times. Such a vulnerable candidate Obama was. He was weak, he was stumbling, he was stammering, a lot like Hillary trying to get into a Secret Service vehicle. Well, I'll tell you what, I didn't see Donald Trump go for the jugular. I didn't see him hit any home runs tonight. And now, maybe that's because he's not a professional politician. Maybe that's because he hasn't learned all of the best tricks and tips. But when you're in a debate, and I've run for student government president 2 years in a row, I've been doing a lot of speaking my whole life. I mean, if you don't get a chance to run your mouth and utilize what you have, I mean, but you know, speaking in front of people, delivering speeches, it's a practice. It's an acquired talent that you need to put some practice hours in on. So I don't blame Lester Holt for anything. As far as turning it around and grilling Trump but kind of letting Hillary go, okay, fine. My point is, Blake, it doesn't matter. If you know what you're doing, you take a question and you redirect it to Benghazi. You redirect it to the Clinton Foundation. You know, these are the things that you're supposed to be doing as a debater, as somebody who's up there at the lectern. That's what you need to be doing. The Clinton Foundation might be the most vulnerable thing. When they were talking about internet security, come on, Trump, that was an alley-oop and you missed it. Talking about internet security, she had a private server that wasn't secure. It was giving up all of the secrets that we have. It was completely vulnerable. Talking about hacking, all the stuff that she's done, everybody she's connected with, they're all vulnerable, and she did that. She's the one that did that. And I mean, I'm sorry, that's a home run, and he didn't utilize it. He had an enormous opportunity to get some great stuff done on that one particular point, and he failed. I gotta say that was really surprising. Hillary Clinton is the worst thing for internet security. She's proven how reckless she is, and if she doesn't understand it, you know, that was the one thing John McAfee, when we talked with him, you know, one of the biggest things he mentioned, obviously it's his wheelhouse with the McAfee antivirus stuff, but you know, he says we are in hardcore cyber wars and we are not prepared. I'll tell you what, Hillary Clinton, she's incredibly reckless for going out of her way so far to keep all of her stuff so hidden. Completely reckless. I don't know any other way to describe it. And Donald Trump just missed an easy layup right there. He was 1 foot away and he couldn't make the putt. You know.
Well, look, he did redirect when they asked him about Lester Holt pressed him on taxes. And that's when Donald Trump made his big line and switched it into the emails thing. Yeah, but...
Okay, fair point. Yes, he did in that occasion. And it was probably the moment of the night.
Okay, but yeah, so I guess what we're saying is that it is up to Donald Trump to redirect the things because, as I'm saying, you know, Lester Holt is here pressing him on birther stuff, stop and frisk, tax returns, but he's not, you know, bringing up... you know, Hillary's Clinton Foundation and letting, you know, Trump respond and them having a back and forth on that the way, you know, oh, let's bring up the birther conspiracy and then let, you know, Hillary try to throw the dagger in. You know, that was kind of like felt like, you know, he's getting set up to do that, but then it's, you know, Donald Trump's job to try to, you know, redirect on something.
Okay.
And, you know, you could. I mean, it's like, like UFC fighting. You don't want to leave the... you know, you don't want to leave the fight up to the judges. You want to finish it, and so yeah, I guess that's something that he'll have to keep in mind for next time. And you know, if the moderators not being entirely fair, then yeah, he's going to have to make it happen, and he's going to have to make those points with Benghazi and the Clinton Foundation and the email scandal, and all the other baggage that's you can hit with get Clinton.
I mean,
with,
he is still standing. It's only the super far left that can really mock him more from tonight than they could from a year and a half ago, or a year ago, or 6 months ago. In the thick of it, there were plenty of things front and center that Trump was saying that he was doing, that he wasn't saying, that he wasn't doing. I don't think he gave it. I don't think Donald Trump provided all that much additional ammunition this time. I don't think he messed up too many times tonight. And maybe that's his win. Maybe that's his win.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I was thinking he was just gonna, smack her around, and she was just gonna freak out, flip out, or she would have some, who knows? It seemed to me, well, it seemed to a lot of people. Like I said, I think on both sides, because I was, seeing the Democrats like quietly panicking, even though they won't admit it, and then the Trump people, being very confident, thinking this is gonna go this certain way. And so, yeah, it is a time to kind of look back and go, wow, this isn't over. There's 2 more debates left, and there's a lot of things that need to be discussed in those 2 things, and you don't have a lot of time. And it's unfortunate. It should be like more debates now. You feel like we're not getting everything. But, it's on Trump to step it up in the next one and make sure that he gets his points across.
Yeah, Hillary's big line apparently was, Trump just criticized me for preparing for this debate. You know what else I prepared for? Being president. I added the
No, she's very talented at what she is. The force of evil is very strong with her. And,
you know what? Maybe I was... Even that line, she nailed it for what she's capable of doing, but it was still like a B- performance. It was still clumsily delivered as a rehearsed line that she's gone over 1,000 times, like Carly Fiorina, like doing the taxi driver thing with Al Pacino.
Yeah, she's very canned and scripted, and who knows, she's Manchurian or something. I have no idea. Or she's a robot. I don't know, because she never sweats. That's the thing. So I don't know. I don't know what to say. Regardless, she's got a ton of baggage. She's the most corrupt politician of our lifetime, probably. So, Trump is more than capable of putting her away no matter what. And so it's going to get interesting. It just got a lot more interesting. Sorry, it's not over. I was kind of hoping, something major would happen, and it was just going to be, more Democratic panic, and Hillary's looks like a has-been, and she's not going to make it, and she performed poorly, and Trump looked amazing. That would have been, we'd be having a totally different show. So,
yeah. By the way, I have always in my lifetime confused Al Pacino and Robert De Niro. My entire life.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I missed that too, because I've actually.
Oh no,
seen that movie. Did you? Okay. Did you
as it came out of my mouth, I went, "Wait, I did it again, didn't I?" I just consider them the same person.
I know it was De Niro.
Well, they said, "Are you talking to me? I don't see anybody else here. That must mean you're talking to me. You talking to me? You talking to me?" And so like that's how I picture Carly Fiorina and Hillary Clinton in front of the mirror for hours and hours just talking to themselves. Anyhow, what do you think about stop and frisk? You brought it up a few minutes ago, and I found it weird that we were spending so much time on it as well. Where did that even come from?
I think it was just a way to trap Trump. You throw a few of these things on it, and you won't let him go. But he kind of made that go, and he was trying to justify it. And it's one of those really debatable issues. It's not something I like, but maybe they can find a way to make it look like in New York that it was effective and a good thing when they were trying to clean up Times Square with Giuliani. And maybe it did, maybe it was a coincidence. I think it's hard to say, but overall, it was not something that's it seems like a good policy, but might work in certain situations and in certain areas. But I can't get behind that, and it's tough. And Trump was trapped, and yeah, it just seemed to go on a long time, and it's kind of it's a really tough argument to win.
Yeah. It's weird. Well, didn't the Supreme Court even just strike that thing down? So it's not even up to a person to say whether that's an allowable thing or not?
I don't know. It's hard for me to follow that. It's kind of bounced around between state and federal court, and it's something to do with maybe it was overturned, but it was after Giuliani left or something. And it's really hard to say whether that's the program was actually working or not. Obviously, Giuliani thinks it does. And, of course, Donald Trump in New York and friends with Giuliani apparently thinks it works, and maybe it does, but it seems like there could be a better policy in place anyway. And like I said, it's a tough, it's an argument you really can't win.
Well, you know what? Let me throw it back at Trump there, because he's very anti-Edward Snowden. And if stop and frisk, violating your rights, is something that he can get behind, I still have no understanding how Trump can be so anti-Edward Snowden if what he was doing was exposing a lot of bad stuff and illegal stuff that our government was doing in that case.
Has he made a recent statement on that? Sorry to interrupt, but has he doubled down on his or is it going back from an old quote from?
I think the only quotes I've heard they're all against Edward Snowden. I've heard multiple, and they're all against. Have you ever heard one that's for him?
No, I'm just saying as he.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if he changed his opinion, because he was alluding to assassination, treason, and being hung last time I kind of heard it. So
right, that during the debate, when was that last time that he said that?
Yeah, I never heard anything contradictory to that. So that's still my understanding of how he feels, and it's kind of scary when you don't care about the Fourth Amendment, and stop and frisk. That is something where they come after you, and it's just papers, please. It's this is the type of crap that the British were doing. What the heck did they call them? Writs of, not execution, writs of something, but they would write their own search warrants right in front of you. That's why that was instituted, because the police were pushing themselves around. They were pushing their power onto the citizens. And the citizens finally started having enough. And, whether we can break apart Black Lives Matter down to a lot of lies with hands up, don't shoot, that never happened. And a lot of people lied about it. A lot of people bought into it. And it's really made something a lot worse than it ever should have been. But with the same understanding that there are a lot of police abuse cases out there. You just got to be concerned. You really want somebody that's going to sit there and defend the core principles that you're into. And so I think that's why so many people are having a hard time with this election, Blake. There are a lot of people that are just not gung-ho about Hillary, and they're not gung-ho about Trump. Do you think a lot of those people are still going to vote, or do you think you might have a chance that there's a lot of people that are going to stay home?
I think a lot of these people are going to maybe vote Trump because they're going to be scared of Hillary. I don't know, though. I could be totally wrong, and there could be, but I just don't see a real strong candidate up there. I can see how liberals would vote for Jill Stein. I totally get it. I'm not a huge fan of her policies, but she would, stand out as somebody who would, not be horrible, I guess. It's a tough one. So it's hard to say. And I'd like to see her in the debates, of course. I think Gary's a wimp, and I don't even think he's a true libertarian in my book. So I don't understand why people would want to vote for him. But no, I mean, as for Trump, for all of his flaws, is still very anti-establishment, and I respect that, and I think that's that's something. And I really, I've always said that I don't think Donald Trump would be running if things are going well. I think he's running because he's concerned about corrupt people like the Bushes and the Clintons running the country into the ground, and he's a guy who can step in and do something. So, I've got for that reason, I'm on his side. I know that the media hates him and the establishment hates him, and the top of both the parties don't like him. So that makes him good in my opinion. But I understand where the Bernie people are going to have a hard time switching to I guess coming to either Trump, or they're probably not going to vote for Hillary. So are they going to show up and go vote for Jill Stein, or are they going to maybe vote for Trump just to go because they know Hillary is so bad? Maybe. I don't know what's going to go into the thought process between now and the next month. But I think you're still going to see a big turnout. I would think that unless there's massive cheating on the part of the Clinton machine, I would think Donald Trump would win in a landslide. But I don't know I don't know what's going on anymore. He's still he's a very popular guy, populist, still drawing.
But you're a little nervous after his performance tonight. You're a little disappointed. Am I right?
Not really.
No, I said a little. I didn't say really. I said a little.
Yeah, not so much with him per se. Yeah, it didn't go like I would have thought, but I don't see him as being, like weaker. I think Hillary performed well, and I think that Lester Holt was a bit biased, and they didn't really cover some of the more important issues tonight. But there's two more debates, and I don't think this debate is going to be doing much to sway anybody's opinion anyway. You can almost toss this out. It was supposed to be. It's almost like there was like a Super Bowl, and it was just not the game you thought it was.
Well, how about this? Is this Golden State Warriors getting 3 cheap, easy wins, and then knowing that the series is going to go 7 and the good guy's going to eventually win?
I'm not sure if I entirely follow or agree with that.
Because I'm considering the Cavaliers to be the good guy who broke the curse, and Hillary is the bad guy. So maybe this one battling to a draw is going to have the underdog taking the crown at the end of the day. Anyway, I digress. I'm a sports fan. I've waited my whole life to root for a championship, and I finally got one. Go Cavaliers. No, I mean, but like I said,
for you, that's awesome. It really is. I'm very happy for you.
Well, thank you much. You've known that it's been a big. I'm sitting here looking at a picture of LeBron James' block and Kyrie Irving's shot right here in the office, and then I'm loving it. I could look at that stuff forever. But Donald Trump did not get knocked down, and he didn't slip and fall himself. He didn't go for the banana peel. So he didn't hit a home run, but he didn't strike out either. I think he definitely. God, I'm living with sports metaphors, but he did miss one very easy layup or alley-oop, and he had a pretty good one there, saying he'll against the advice of his lawyers, he'll release his tax returns as soon as Hillary releases the 33,000 deleted emails. That's good. There was a lot of saving grace in that one, because really we're down to sound bites. You cannot cover the debate without covering that line. Meaning, no matter how good Hillary does, he's right there with a zinger as good as the rest. And it's kind of come down to the fact, like, you should have, like, George Carlin or Joe Rogan. Obviously, I know Carlin is dead. But have comedians writing for you. You're really going for one-liners. The Simpsons proved that. They had a couple episodes with Sideshow Bob when he runs for political office. Congressman Les Winan said that your policies would cause blah, blah, blah. I think Congressman Les Winan ought to do more thinking and less whining. Anyway, but it really is. It's a soundbite election. It's a silly little joke election. That's what it comes down to. And, I think Trump got a really good hit in on that one.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's definitely some good highlights. It's going to be an interesting as we, really dig into everything that happened and get a fuller picture of it, and find all the big one-liners out, grab all the highlights out, and let's give everybody in the media something to talk about for a week. and then we'll have the VP debate, and then I guess this will be forgotten soon enough.
You know, let me ask you about this. Trump said, that makes me smart, referring to not paying federal taxes. What was your take on that line?
Maybe digging himself a little bit of a hole. I kind of get what he's saying. I mean, I'm obviously not a big fan of the federal government either, and he's right that he followed it up by saying they would have just, something like to the tune of like they would have just wasted it anyway, which is true. I think when we're 20 trillion in debt, it's not really, but yeah, it's hard to say until they dig into his tax returns and find out, I guess, what he's been doing or how he's avoiding that. But I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of people that don't pay taxes, or federal taxes either. A lot of rich people. So, he's kind of, playing that same game in a way. I guess that doesn't. It's another one where it's hard to, talk your way out of that one. So he's got a little bit of explaining to do.
Yeah, I suppose so. And another weird issue they brought up was the terrorist watch list. This is something where, once again, this is a slippery slope. This is losing your rights before you've been proven to be somebody who should have their rights taken away. This is a situation if you end up on a terrorist watch list, and pretty much Donald Trump was supporting it, saying it's a good idea, and he differs, although he was endorsed by the NRA, and the NRA definitely does not support this policy. This is just another case of losing your rights before you have had your day in court. This is having your data stolen by the NSA, violating your Fourth Amendment rights before a warrant has been issued. These are slippery slope things that have a lot of constitutionalists very concerned. I mean, do you think that's taken it a little too far out of proportion, or do you think there's some legitimacy there?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I can't defend everything Donald Trump says. I don't know exactly where he's, what he's thinking about certain things, and I think he's someone who's flexible and reasonable, and maybe he could change his mind. I did find out what he said. Last time he really spoke up about Snowden was over a year ago, about 15 months ago. So now that the new movie Snowden is out, who knows? Maybe Donald Trump would, have a change of heart on what he said before. Because 3 years ago he said that they should kill the traitor. So yeah, he's got to walk that back or reevaluate. Of course, that was when as a businessman, and who knows where he got his info from. But like I said, he's reasonable, flexible, and he'll change. But why don't you run me through this? What you have the issue that you have here with what you just brought up?
What, the issue with Edward Snowden?
Not Edward Snowden, no. What you were leading into.
Oh well, I mean, basically saying if you end up on a terrorist watch list, that you should not be able to purchase a firearm.
Okay. Well, you know what? I think something that would be different with Trump is maybe his interpretation of the terrorist watch list. I don't know. I mean, not that I am a fan of that, obviously. But
well, I don't think so.
In control of who's running the power. I don't trust somebody like Bush or Cheney or Hillary or Obama. But would Donald Trump have a more reasonable policy on what constitutes somebody who's supposed to be on a terrorist watch list? If we were actually doing things the right way, or even what Rand Paul was what he suggested is that you go through the proper channel, you find the person, and you get a warrant, and it's not a difficult process rather than just vacuuming up all the information. So I just think that Donald Trump is a different type of person, and if we had a more of a better people in office, we didn't have a bunch of neocons, and we didn't have the crazy people that are on the the leftists that are in power now, would he run something different? I don't know.
Well, look,
or are you just completely opposed to the terrorist watch list?
No, I got no problem with the terrorist watch list, but there needs to be mechanisms in place where you can't get mistakenly or vindictively placed onto some sort of list that's going to strip you of your rights without a day in court. I think it's a slippery slope. And I'll tell you what.
It is, but it also depends on who's power. If we didn't have such a corrupt, system right now.
Okay, but my point is that we should. My point is that we should always make it very difficult for any potential tyrant to be able to do some potential tyrant shit. That's my point.
I agree with you there.
I don't want to see policies that could make it easy. And you say, oh, well, my guy would never do that. Come on, everybody's guy would do that. You can't trust politicians at all.
Yeah, but he's not really a politician, and he's somebody who's...
You should trust no man.
Nationalist. He's not the insider globalist deceiver like these other people are.
Well, but you should trust no man. You should set up a system that will protect you inherently, regardless of who has the steering wheel.
But you still want the idea of a terrorist watch list? You just want to, terror would clear off the people that are on it now? It's obviously run by corrupt and incompetent people now, but would the Trump administration, let's just say you put, General Flynn, or you put somebody respectable in, to head up the CIA or the FBI.
Like Bo Bergdahl.
Well, no, that would be a little...
But
I'm saying if you put somebody who is a little, or Trey Gowdy, or Jason Chapin. What if we had some really competent, good, justice-minded people that know what they're looking for, that can identify the bad people without violating everybody's rights? I'm not opposed to that.
Yeah, look, and I'm willing to do this because
it's kind of it's not really giving a Trump an out on this. It's kind of
not giving him an out.
Yeah, if you're criticizing him for the terrorist watch list, or
probably.
Yeah.
What's up?
Nothing. It's almost like you've kind of condemned him as there's no. Like you believe in the concept, but you think that he should have answered it differently.
Yeah, I would probably say that.
What's the right answer?
What's the what?
What's the right answer? Like if there was a way you could get out of that.
You know what? I'm willing to do a little bit more research, and I'll dig into this a little deeper with you later. I need to study the issue a little bit more. But my basic understanding is that there have been quite a few people who have ended up on these terrorist watch lists accidentally or maliciously, and it's been hell for them to get their rights back. They can't purchase guns. They can't exercise their amendments. They're
How is it that incompetent? Exactly. So if you had proper people running it and having a real list, it shouldn't be like that. So I don't understand why it's like that either. So I don't know if Trump's just in power, if he puts the right people in for the right job, then maybe that wouldn't be as stupid as it is. It doesn't make any sense. We're just like weird random people are on the terrorist watch list, and it doesn't make any sense, and they can't seem to get off. Like, how can they not figure this out? How can the system be that inefficient?
Oh, I would never trust this system for anything, and I would always trust incompetence, and I would always trust the possibility for corruption. All right, let me do this. This is from 3 months ago. Donald Trump thrust himself into the fore of the gun debate on Wednesday, announcing he'll meet with NRA to discuss banning people on the terror and no-fly watch lists from purchasing firearms. The announcement came in a tweet in the morning, roughly 90 minutes before Senate Democrats launched a filibuster to prompt action on the same issue, which is regaining attention after the Orlando massacre, in which the gunman slaughtered 49 and injured 53. I'll be meeting with the NRA, who has endorsed me, about not allowing people on the terrorist watch list or the no-fly list to buy guns, Trump said. His unprompted announcement pressures the gun lobby to help reach a compromise on the contentious proposal in the wake of the worst mass shooting in American history. While the gunman was not on a terror watch list at the time of the shooting, he had previously been investigated by the FBI on concerns he had been radicalized. The NRA endorsed Trump last month at its annual meeting, making it the earliest the group's lobbying arm has backed a presidential candidate. The people that head up the NRA are great people, Trump said, and they love this country, and I told you we're going to protect the Second Amendment because it's under siege. Though Trump's proactive stance on the terror watch list issue is new, he has previously expressed his support of such a ban. Following November's terrorist attacks in Paris, where 130 people died, Trump backed a Democratic-pushed measure to bar people on the watch list from purchasing guns. If somebody's on a watch list and an enemy of state, and we know it's an enemy of state, I would keep them away, absolutely, Trump told ABC's George Stephanopoulos. It's not known whether Trump will push for the form of the ban will be palatable to Democrats, but his general stance aligns with President Barack Obama. Blah, 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 blah. So it continues on, and I could keep going, but I think we'll just dig into it at a later date. It's maybe a minor issue, maybe a big issue. We'll see. If it lingers to the second time, maybe we can dig into it a little bit more. What did you think when he said that he had a better temperament than Hillary?
I mean, I guess it was a controversial issue. Got quite the gasp on the television and Twitter, I think. I don't know. I mean, that's not something, I don't know if he should have gone there. I want to pull that up on the transcript so I can get the full context of that.
I mean, there's a strategy where you go after people and you kind of like head them off the pass. What does Eminem say in 8 Mile? He's like, yeah, I am white. I am an effing bum. I do live in a trailer with my mom. You know, and he goes into like this rant where he's saying everything that the rapper who's trying to talk crap about him, he's saying everything that they're about to say to him to kind of head him off at the pass. I don't know. I felt like maybe Trump was reaching on that a little bit to go the temperament route. Maybe he felt like she was getting ready to play the card and he wanted to trump that card. Perhaps.
Perhaps. So Lester Holt was making a reference here. Oh, they went after him is another thing. They went after him for the Iraq War, which is also debatable. Of course, liberals go nuts. Oh, he was on the Howard Stern show that one time, and see, he's a liar. And then he's also got they got an old clip of him on Cavuto, which he brought up, which also, which plays in his favor. It's not perfectly clear cut, but it looks good for him. And he's also, I guess, apparently trying to get maybe Sean Hannity to find some old clips or something to back him up. I'm not quite sure where that's going, but he did talk about, so Donald Trump, he says, will have much better question judgment, but she has no question. I also have a much better temperament that she has. You know, I have a much better, she spent to tell you. He spent, this is where it gets kind of convoluted. Seems like the transcript, like I'm looking at this on NPR, and the first half seems to be pretty clean, but the second half there seems to be all kinds of errors. It looks like there was a computer that was writing down, like they say ICES, and it's ICES. And I saw chocolate in there. There's some weird stuff that they're not hearing everything correctly. But anyway, he says, my strongest asset maybe by far is my temperament.
Hold on, Blake.
Temperament. Yeah.
Let me see if this is gonna work.
I pull it up on the Washington Post, but I only get like 10 articles a month, and then of course it locks me out. So I try to use it sparingly.
Phones are my favorite.
Yeah, I can't play this without playing an ad. Son of a...
I always gotta monetize it.
Son of a gun. No, I can't.
But anyway, I think my strongest asset, maybe by far, is my temperament. I have a winning temperament. Know how to win.
Okay, I got it right here. I got it right here.
All right, well, let's roll tape.
Yeah, we got 28 seconds to go. But he was. I think he was just trying to get out ahead of something so that it didn't come back and bite him. You know, I felt like maybe he played his card a little too soon. He kind of forced the line a little bit.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
He really just wanted to get that in there. But once again, I mean, he's making rookie mistakes because he's a rookie. You know, he can have as much skill doing whatever he wants, but politics is a different kind of beast.
I have much better judgment than she does. There's no question about that. I also have a much better temperament than she has. You know, I have a much better. She spent, let me tell you, she spent hundreds of millions of dollars on an advertising, they get Madison Avenue into a room, they put names. Oh, temperament, let's go after. I think my strongest asset, maybe by far, is my temperament. I have a winning temperament. I know how to win. She does not know how to win.
Clinton.
Wait, the AFL-CIO the other day, behind the blue screen, I don't know who you were talking to, Secretary Clinton, but you were totally out of control. I said, there's a person with a temperament that's got a problem.
Secretary Clinton.
Woo! Okay.
Oh, man. He did not deliver that with...
Yeah, it was a little sloppy.
It was
and
clunky.
forced, and, yeah, clunky.
Clunky and forced. And I mean, the look on her face.
Okay.
Yeah, and then she's
Giggling.
at that when she finds that little opening to, yeah.
Yeah, so
I
here's...
saw that during the Benghazi hearings, too, yeah.
What difference at this point does it make? Okay, here's her reply.
The other day, I saw Donald saying that there were some Iranian sailors on a ship in the waters off of Iran, and they were taunting American sailors who were on a nearby ship. He said, if they taunted our sailors, I'd blow them out of the water and start another war. That would not good judgment. That is not the right temperament to be commander-in-chief.
There you go. So that was her line right there.
Right?
Mm.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what to say. I mean, I would think that he does have a better temperament. I would trust him a lot more than I would trust Hillary running things. I don't think he's some kind of crazy maniac who's going to be a warmonger. I don't think he's going to push any red buttons, but I think he's like, I don't want to say a master chess player, but he's, somebody I think who could be a great negotiator. And yeah,
I think he's a schoolyard bully. And that's the kind of person you don't want to have to constantly have to go against. Not necessarily that you want them on your side, but it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world if that was one of your friends.
Yeah, but he's a kind of a big CEO, The Apprentice.
What about it?
Well, I'm just saying, he's been in like negotiations that you could only imagine where he's putting things together as a really sharp guy like that. I don't understand.
No, I mean, I get that he's sharp.
Right.
I don't think you accidentally succeed for that many decades.
Yeah, somebody as successful as he is, in that position that he is, I mean, he's made a career off of that.
I just, the jury's still out for me. The jury's still out. I still have reservations, and I will not be voting Hillary. I don't know. I don't know.
All right. Let's switch gears and bash Hillary there, Brian. Or are we just going to be putting me in the defensive on Trump, which is fine because he deserves criticism. It all does, and she's phony and scripted anyway, so it's not really that interesting. But all right, let's hit the next point. What do we got?
Well, hey, we could have sat and agreed with each other for the same hour. Then why even call it agree to disagree?
Exactly.
Yes. No, I don't know. That's pretty much what I got. The racist lie when they got into the birther stuff. Have we covered the birther thing?
No, and that was one of those ones where they were just like, let it go. Like, why are we bringing that up? Isn't there like more important issues? We're bringing up this old story, and then you're using it to make points on racism, and there's nothing.
Well, Trump brought up the super predators comment, which is going even further back. Just saying.
Sure.
But yeah, the whole birther thing. I mean, hey,
Did he bring up Super Predator first, or did she bring it up?
No, I think he
in defense.
I think that was his counterpunch.
Yeah.
If I recall correctly.
Sure. Well, they're going to make racial issues on him. Then that's fair game, and he should have brought that up.
No, well, listen. I'll say this much: when Barack Obama was running for office, I made a few phone calls, and I haven't pushed the issue. I just haven't. But it was right before the election, and I started making some phone calls. I mean, I was calling the RNC headquarters the DNC headquarters. I was calling the White House. I was calling, what is it, the state of Hawaii. I don't know what records division it is. I started making phone calls. I started calling the newspaper that reported that they saw the birth certificate. And they said, no, I didn't see the birth certificate. I was told by whoever was in charge of it. I was told by the head of the department that they saw it. I go, hold on a second. That is not confirmation. Like, how do you not even have this wrapped up? Who is the RNC? Who is the DNC? Why is this an issue? Are you sitting here telling me that you haven't vetted the most basic qualifications that are necessary to hold that position, to hold that office? You're literally not even certain of this? Nobody can do... Look, Blake, I sought out 8 years ago, roughly 8 years ago, to prove that this thing that I was hearing was garbage. And I could not disprove it. Oh, well, no, here it is. Look, they released it. No, that's a certificate of live birth. That's just showing that there is a live creature here. It's not saying it was born here. It's saying that you are now documenting it as being here. There are differences between certificates of live birth and the birth certificate, at least as far as I understand based on the information and the research that I was doing. I never had any issue with the birther issue. I never called it anything. I mean, they were fighting it out with John McCain, if you remember. If he was eligible to be president, they were saying, oh, well, he was born in what, the Panama Canal? He was born in whatever disputed zone it was, Burkina Faso or whatever. I mean, they were saying the same thing about John Kerry, but no, or I'm sorry, John McCain. But no, he's a white guy, so that can't be racist. But if you ask a question about Obama, that's racist. And I mean, besides, it was Hillary's campaign that was pushing that mostly anyway. So anyhow, I don't know. I didn't make much of the issue. So I guess let me rephrase the question back to you, Blake. Do you think that all of the attempts by Hillary Clinton, by Lester Holt, to kind of bring race into the dialogue here, do you think that they are going to be effective in pulling anybody away who was considering leaving the Democratic plantation and voting Republican?
I don't know. I think that's just kind of. I don't think anyone. It changed anybody. It was, and I think it was strange that they would bring that up. But I mean, like I said, it was an easy way to try to score some points on racial stuff. And again, people can say what they want about the birther issue. There was some legitimate reasons to go and investigate that, and it's not racist just because he happens to be a black man, and that's unfair, and that was bias, and it should not have had any place in the debate. And I guess I would have hoped that Donald Trump could have answered that better, but we can all sit and play Monday morning quarterback. It's easy, right?
Well, I'll tell you what, I got a message from one of my buddies just out of nowhere, and he says, I'm starting to lean towards Trump. And I said, why you leaning? He said, I figure prideful nationalism could be fun. And I said, a lot of Bernie people are going for Trump now, by the way. He says, I just can't trust her. Trump might blunder, but he will always put America first.
I like it.
Trump might blunder, but he will always put America first. And I think that really does kind of sum up what we're talking about here, Blake. The intentions of the person. Do you really think Hillary's out there fighting for the working man? Or do you think that she's already sold her soul to Saudi Arabia and the like? I think she's totally co-opted, bought and paid for. I do not trust her intentions. I think she's going to sell us out. I think Trump may be a little overzealous in trying to go get bad guys. But like he said, he may blunder, but I think he's always going to put America first. That might be one of the better ways I've heard that described.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with everything that was said. I don't trust Hillary at all, and nobody should. And that's kind of what the options are. And yeah, Donald Trump, for all of his flaws, I'm glad he's in this. I mean, granted, I was a Rand Paul guy, and he kind of got, just overshadowed by Donald Trump. But without Donald Trump, we'd be stuck with Jeb Bush or Marco Rubio, people that I also believe are just as compromised as Hillary. So they, to me, are dangerous. They would not put America first either. And yes, Donald Trump, I really think he is, trying to help out. And it's sorry that he's got this baggage and then he has to be in this position. But, I think he means well and he's on our side. And I'm backing him.
Well, like I said to my friend in that conversation that I just referenced, I said a lot of Bernie people are starting to back Trump. He's a Bernie person, and he definitely did not move from Bernie over to Hillary. And I think it's going to come down to that 5-10% that are still undecided, the people like me. If I had to vote today, would I not? Maybe not. But I think there's, by the time this is all said and done, I think there's going to be a lot of people who are going to cast their vote for Donald Trump that may not be very vocal about it today. I think looking at a complete blowout is possible, and I could also say that Hillary might make a better candidate, while despite being a terrible candidate at the same time. I don't know if I've ever seen it where someone's such a good candidate and a bad candidate at the same time. I think that kind of sums up Hillary Clinton. Like, she is devilishly talented at some of these things, but it always comes back to, you'll eventually catch her true colors. You'll eventually get this creepy feeling about her, and I think that's when you see her for who she really is. I really don't think there's a lot of support for her in very many places. I could definitely see a blowout. I'm hearing the Colorado's in play. A lot of states have swung. He's pretty much tied, if not ahead, in most of the polls that I'm looking at. I'm definitely still seeing a few for Hillary, but she's been losing momentum week after week for about a month. I think severe damage is being done. And don't forget, WikiLeaks still has some October surprises up their sleeves. So, this could get really interesting. Just wait if WikiLeaks was able to access those emails that she thought she deleted. What if the thing that she thought she got away with becomes the thing that eventually does her in? I could still see that. We'll see how it all plays out. But Blake, as we wrap this up here, let me get your final word on tonight. Were you satisfied? Are there any other highlights or big moments you wanted to mention before we get out of here?
Not necessarily. No. Hillary did extremely well tonight, but yeah, she is a terrible candidate, and I don't know how she's going to keep this pace. She obviously has health issues. I don't know how she's going to make it through 8 years, even if she does win. And I just know, I think this is bad. And both the Clintons, and to have them back, and to have to imagine Hillary as the president, and having her on TV all the time, always having her in the media, or having her or Bill, who's really fading away quickly. I don't want to look at these people for 8 years. I liked them in the 90s. It was a different time. They're not right now.
That's right. You are a former Democrat.
Yeah.
That is important to take note of.
Yeah, I was really a big fan of Bill and Al Gore in the 90s. I thought they were great. And
how do you change from that to a Trumpster? How does that happen?
Well, I went from Democrat to Libertarian to Ron Paul Republican to, well, yeah. I'm kind of, I'd say I'm on the fence between like Libertarian and Green Party, kind of. Yeah, I would still kind of consider myself a liberal, even though I would say I'm alt-right because I am radically opposed to whatever this version of the left is. I feel like I'm like a Jefferson or a JFK Democrat in a way, or a Ron Paul Republican. I like Cynthia McKinney. I even like Gary Johnson in 2012, even though I don't like him now. But I really think Donald Trump is, like I said, he's not an establishment guy, and I think he's running because he cares about the country and wants to save it from globalist destruction. And I totally respect that. No, he's not a perfectly polished politician, but he doesn't need to be. And I can live with this for the entertainment value alone. I think he'd be great to see, like, what did he say today? What did he do next? I'm okay with that, rather than just the Bill and Hillary Clinton and so that's my word on it.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to think about this country being run for more than 8 years by the same political party anyhow. I mean, usually by the time you've had 8 years of a Republican, it's time to go Democrat, and vice versa. You've had 8 years of Democrat, time to switch over. At least in theory, that's what this country is. That's what this country was. And, maybe that was a good thing. I did like Trump did bring up something pretty important, and it's been going around a lot. Trump is doing a lot more, and you got to say this, say what you will about Donald Trump, but he's doing a lot more outreach into the inner cities, into the black communities than, I can't remember a Republican doing this much, trying this hard to connect and say, hey, you might think you're not supposed to like me, but you should, and here's why. I thought it was a good move to talk about. The cities that have been voting for purely Democratic leadership for 100 years. Look what you're getting. This is what they provide you. It's not good. It's not good. So this election's going to come down to 1% of the black vote, 1% of the millennials, 1% of the undecided, 1% of the women, 1% of the men, 1%. Add these all up, you got 5 to 15% of people from very select demographics that are going to make all the difference. So, my analysis tonight, I don't think Trump did a lot to disqualify himself to anybody that was still considering him. If you've already ruled him out, it's fine. You're not, that's not who you're talking to. I think Hillary might have got some people who can watch her and say that she's more qualified based on some of the things she's saying. But like Donald Trump said, you have a lot of experience, but it's bad experience. Look at Libya, look at Syria, look at Iraq, look at Afghanistan, look at Iran. Look at all of these places on the globe. And Hillary, you were the Secretary of State. Your fingerprints are all over the burning Middle East. You have experience, and it's bad experience. Like, well, I've been a major league pitcher for 4 years. Yeah, you've been sent down to the minor leagues every year, and you finally got cut because you're not good. That's kind of what Hillary is. She's not good. She might, hey, this is debate number 1. There's plenty more to go around. I don't think anything was necessarily settled today, but I think Trump just made himself a lot more imposing of a candidate because, yeah, he definitely had his moments where he didn't do his best. But Trump at his worst tonight didn't disqualify him. And I think that's a win for Trump because I think he's going to get a lot stronger from debate number 1 to debate number 2. But anyhow, it's something that we're going to follow. I want to make sure everybody checks out Blake's coverage of the RNC and the DNC. So go to youtube.com/TheNewAmericanMedia. Click subscribe, leave your comments, enjoy what we put together from the RNC and the DNC coverage. Blake's putting together the RNC right now. It's good. Like Blake says, he doesn't think anybody out there has done better, more comprehensive, entertaining coverage behind the scenes, all the jazz that we were able to put together for the convention. So I'm happy with the work as well. I hope you check it out. Check out TheNewAmericanMedia.com. On Twitter at American_media_, and check us out on Facebook. I appreciate all of you. I love you. We'll talk again soon. Thanks, Blake. Take care.
Thank you.
Hi, everybody. You're listening to Agree to Disagree with Brian Engelman, and this is John B. Wells reminding you that not only is Brian Engelman a cool guy, and not only is TheNewAmericanMedia.com a very cool platform, but here's a cool idea for you, too. Are you alone? Not really. Do you like dogs? Do you like cats? You do. Of course you do. Everybody does. One or the other, maybe even both. There are a lot of dogs and cats that are at shelters right now, and if somebody doesn't take them home, they're going to wind up euthanized. That's a nice way of saying they're going to be killed because there's simply not enough room. I guarantee it, the best dogs and the best cats, the best pets come from shelters. There's something about dogs and cats they know, They know where they are. You walk through one of them, and certainly at least one is going to look at you and go, I wish you'd take me home. I'm in hell. Please take me out of here. It'll be the best thing that you ever did for your soul. You'll feel good about it. And not only that, but you have a friend for life. Doesn't matter if you got money, you don't have money. Well, it doesn't make any difference to a dog or cat. All they need is the sound of your voice and maybe even the stroke of your hand, and they're fine. Maybe a little food every once in a while. The sweetest sound that those pets ever hear is your voice. Think it over and adopt a cat or a dog from a local shelter today. I'm telling you, you'll be glad you did.